Hey, it's Ari, just back from the ACM Aerospace Alley Tradeshow, celebrating the worldwide unique cluster of aerospace manufacturers we have right here in Connecticut. I had the opportunity to talk to many friends, new and old, about what's going on in their business, what's going on around manufacturing Connecticut, and at the trade show itself. I know you're going to enjoy these compilation episodes. A quick interruption to remind you to like, subscribe, and rate this podcast so we can get your feedback and know how to make it better. Hey, here we go with Glen Ford, president of the ACM, rounding out a terrific day at the Aerospace Alley Tradeshow. Glen, thanks for stopping by the booth, bud.
Oh, man, thank you for having me. This is fabulous.
Yeah, what a great way to end, right?
I'm telling you, what a day. All these kids coming through, 750-ish kids, 25 schools.
Wow.
Fantastic.
It really was. The energy level was so high, I thought, this morning. We've had, I think, 7 or 8 folks kind of stop by and, sit down and chat, some old friends, some new friends. And, what's been consistent throughout is everyone has just been so excited about the energy from the morning with the students, through lunch and into the networking in the afternoon. It's been a great day.
I was especially impressed with the kids. They came in, they were engaged, they were asking questions that were a little bit tricky sometimes.
Yeah.
I was especially impressed with some of the students who were over at CCAT,
Yep.
programming, a robotic arm right off the floor. Can you program this? And if you can, do it. And they were just engaged. Students who came over by Phoenix were looking at some of the complex stuff we make. And they were asking questions like, is that really manufactured with a CNC machine? And that's a 5-axis, right? And
yeah.
It's just like, wow, it's energizing.
They know what's going on.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And by the way, I should have thrown that out there. We know each other, so I don't even bring stuff up, but you're not just the president of the Aerospace Component Manufacturer Association, also the president of Phoenix Manufacturing up in Enfield, Connecticut, too.
That's true.
So you're president for how long now for ACM?
Well, it's been a year. And
because we didn't have this last year and it's sort of been COVID year, doesn't feel like, so do you have to put in an extra year now to make up for the fake year? Is that
of course. That's what they would expect. Jessica Taylor runs a tight ship.
That's right, she does. That's right, she does. She has to put up with you, Glenn. So she gets overtime pay for that, hazard pay.
The whole board has to put up with me. But I guess I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, no, it's been good. So, what do you think? We're kind of closing out the day. Just kind of curious, your readout, you like the kids. I thought attendance was strong. This was, I don't know about you, but this has been my first since March of 19. I think I was actually just came back from a meeting in February of 19. This is my first, big event. I've been to meetings and I've traveled a bit, but, trade show type, hundreds of people. This is my first one since COVID started. It was great.
Well, first, it's great to be back in person, right? We've Zoomed it. I think I'm, Zoomageddon.
Yes.
I had enough of Zoomageddon, and you get burnt out on that. Although it's okay because at certain times there's a benefit there, and we've learned that. We haven't knew that prior, but here today, we get to see good friends. I get to see you. I get to see so many other people. Colin Cooper. It was great to escort the governor around. He was engaged. He asked a lot of questions. David Lehman, our commissioner for Department of Economic and Community Development, was asking a lot of questions. It's just such a refreshing breath of fresh air to have our legislators being engaged, our schools being engaged, and manufacturers coming together to talk with everybody to say, this infrastructure is how we should have always had it and what we need to grow on and collaboration and make it better than what it has been in the past. So I definitely am impressed.
What made you decide to take on, the ACM, presidency? You're a busy guy, I know your passion for manufacturing. I know your passion for Connecticut. So maybe that's part of the answer to the question. But with everything you got going on, why did you think it was important to step up to the plate for this?
I think that the aerospace components manufacturers members are being squeezed right now. Lou Maluzzo from Air Industries stood up at our speech here, and outlined something that's very important. He said, look, we've got a yardstick. And a yardstick is comprised of raw materials, outside special process, and machining. Really, that's basically it. And he said a big chunk of that is all the raw materials. Another big chunk of that is outside special process. And this small little piece is the machining. He said, and Airbus made a request, politely, for us to take 15% out of the cost of the part. And his statement was that no Kaizen in the world is going to take 15% out of that entire price on that little tiny component of all the parts that go into it. So that was a very telling, important message that I hope a lot of people heard. State of Connecticut has really fantastic aerospace manufacturers, but we need that leadership and that guidance to help them along to realize that you got to stay the course. You're in the middle between those raw material suppliers, and they've got to make a margin as well as we, and outside special processors, and you're also in between them and the customer, right? And the customer needs to keep costs under control. So it's in my purview. The thing that I would like to have done with the aerospace components manufacturers as president is to guide them, hopefully, try to anyway, down a road of logic to say, look, hold firm, hold your price, because we don't want you to go out of business. I know so many families-owned businesses who are taking personal loans to keep their business afloat, and that should never happen, right? And then there's other businesses who are doing very well. So that's what I want to do, is to try to blend and bring those two people together so you can share those best practices and keep manufacturing in the state of Connecticut, in this region, Massachusetts as well, strong, vibrant, healthy, supplying aerospace components to our OEMs, because they need us. And we know how to do it. Yeah. So how are you thinking? Do you have a strategy behind that? I mean, how are you going to keep them together? A force of personality might work in this case, Glenn.
I don't know about that, but I think it's constant messaging, right? Communication. As long as you're communicating, I think things go well. So talking with people, letting them know about all of the different market constraints that you see. Pierre Chow came in. He gave a really good speech on, what do we see in the market. You had Eversource come in and speak about energy and ways to reduce costs. Those are the kind of messages that we want to flow. We want to communicate. We want everybody in our membership to understand. There's a lot of money out there, but sometimes it's hard to get, and they just don't realize it's there. So that's part of the strategy.
Do you see this as something different than the sort of normal? Yeah, I think normal is the right word. The normal sort of like aerospace cyclical process. It's a buyer's market. It's a seller's market. The flight miles go down. There's a little bit of a downturn. The OEM squeeze for pricing, and then flight miles come back and it comes back. I mean, are we sort of in that, or do you think this is it sort of getting through this part of the cycle, or is there something different this time around?
There's definitely something different, I believe, right? Glenn's view of it is we just came out of a pandemic. We've realized something that we've never realized before. Pre-2019, if you said pandemic, everybody would just look at you and go, okay, we'll write something down on a piece of paper, and but it really happened.
That was something that happened to our great-grandparents or whatever.
Exactly. And they remember it. We didn't. So now here we are, we're remembering it. And the world has changed, I believe. We're still not out of the pandemic. And anybody who says we are, I think, they have to understand a little bit more about where we are.
Closer to the end, though, I would say, than the beginning by a long shot.
I don't want to say gloom and doom, but yes, absolutely, we're closer. It's funny because I just got my booster yesterday, right?
Right.
But we have to get inoculated. It's a must. We know people who have been debilitated with this disease.
Yep.
During this pandemic, we had a severe strain on the workforce. We zoned. We had alternate work shifts. We cleaned more than we ever did. We've done things that we've never done before, and primarily it was all around making sure that our employees were safe, against the pandemic.
the coronavirus. Now we're, like I said, coming to the end of that. And we still have to have change in our workforce, and that change has got to get part of our standard work. It's got to be there, because I don't think that you're going to see the sickness, any type of sickness, go away real quick. In fact, we still have flu. We still have colds. What it taught us is how to protect each other a little bit better.
And sort of live with it, you're saying.
Yeah. I think right now that may be where we're headed. But again, that's Glen's view. I'm not a doctor.
And what is that? And what is that sort of? What's the impact to that from an aerospace manufacturer's perspective?
Well, number one, we hope that people continue to fly. Right. There was that long period no one flew. Now they're flying. The impact is we're selling more. Single aisles are definitely pulled to the left.
Yep.
We see more single aisle. The dual aisle is still something that we don't see to the left yet. 787, 350, the big aircraft.
Yeah, the international long haul travel. Yeah.
They're gonna sit back, I think, a little bit longer. It's probably going to take another year, maybe a little bit longer. Then all of a sudden, those are going to come back. And my fear is a good fear, right? I guess my hope is that they all pull to the left, and all of a sudden we have so much work that we
feast or famine.
Feast or famine.
Be nice to just sort of sit in that Goldilocks zone for a while, don't you think? Just a nice, healthy amount of work. Not too much, not too little. That doesn't happen.
Nah, I like the Papa Bear side.
Just get it going.
Just get it going. Let's rock.
Nice.
And today the whole thing was all about the workforce. That's the thing that we're challenged with. Where is this workforce coming from?
Yeah.
We got the gray accidents. People are going to retire. There are now, I don't know what the term is. You probably do, where everybody's jumping jobs.
The Great Resignation or whatever they're calling it. Yeah.
It's an unsure time. So that's why I'm saying right now that's what's affecting the aerospace industry. We have a lot of churn in the workforce.
Yeah, so it's a matter of, we got the silver tsunami coming up on the back end. We got the normal thing that everyone's sort of dealing with on just employee retention, acquisition, whatever. Plus we got, sort of our normal demand. So we're fighting on multiple fronts, but I guess so that's a position we've been used to. So, we'll get at it.
It's a day in the life.
The day in the life, absolutely. So it was nice to see some friends, Colin back around here, Chris DiPentima, President CBIA. You mentioned the governor. You mentioned David Lehman from DECD. A lot of focus in manufacturing still. I think it's good.
Again, the linkage between our legislation and the schools and the manufacturing base right now is stronger than I've ever recognized it in my past. And it was really great to see these folks here. They were engaged. They were walking around. They talked to the students. I've got so many pictures of the governor with just entire groups of school kids around him, and they were proud to be with the governor.
That's cool.
And it was funny because he walked up to one young man and he says, he said, "Hi, I'm the governor, the state of Connecticut," to this young man, and he looked at me and says, "Of course, I know that, Governor Lamont." So that was a great thing to hear, is like
cool.
that student saying, "Of course I know." When we might have taken that for granted in the past. Today, the kids are highly engaged. So yeah, Colin, David Lehman, fantastic people.
Yeah, really good day. So what's on tap for the ACM? Coming up. What should the membership be looking forward to? What's going on?
We've got right now a sort of a lull in anything like this. We won't have this kicked out until next year again. But there are there's a lot of work being done on different fronts. We have the progressive manufacturing group that gets together once a month. We're talking about I 4.0, different technologies that you can incorporate in your facility. That goes on month after month, which is really great. We have the supply chain group who gets together. We talk about different supply issues. Right now, obviously, that's a big hot topic. Mm-hmm. Raw materials up 2x. What do we do about it? We're all throwing different ideas back and forth with each other. It's just it's a real wonderful thing that we're doing with those two groups. on the other forefront, we're talking about what else can we do to influence more of this type of activity. Maybe, we were just brainstorming. Wouldn't this be great down in Mohegan Sun with the Maritime?
Oh,
The
yeah.
Maritime Group. Something in New Haven, something in Danbury. What can we do to get this word
Kind of
out?
replicate a little bit of this, kind of engage the community a little bit more, get some excitement, get some energy rolling.
Best practice.
Best practice sharing.
Yeah.
Something the ACM's, I think, historically been known for, right? Best practice sharing. And it sounds like you're doing a lot more of that. People, great opportunities for the membership to engage on really critical items, workforce, supply chain development, technology. I mean, it's really cool things that you're personally passionate about. It's nice to see engaging the membership on that front.
It is. And some of these people have done some really amazing stuff. I'll bring one guy up, Chris Kilb from Advanced Welding. I think they just announced they acquired KTI,
Yep.
and they brought KTI in, who's an electron beam welding company. And wow, right? So I went up to see to see Chris's operation. These electron beam welding machines are just, it's like Star Wars, the stuff that's in there, these big chambers and, wheatstone bridges and wires that are running all over the place. It's just like, it's futuristic.
That's cool.
Yeah, so we're continuing to push that envelope in this region, and we want to make that happen.
Aerospace Alley, a strong, vibrant, new technology. That's where we need to be successful, right?
Well, that's what you're helping us do, Ari. I can't even begin to thank you. You're a supporter. You're a friend to the ACM, to the region, to all these folks, all these manufacturers. You have manufacturers from all different walks of life in front of you. You're challenging them with good questions. They're giving you their best practices. They're telling you about what they're doing, and you're getting the word out. And I can't be more proud of sitting with a guy like you. And I'm not blowing smoke. It's the truth. It's just a fantastic thing.
Well, I really appreciate it, Glenn, and I know you got a lot of networking to do, so I'll wrap it up. I do appreciate you kind of stopping by the booth, and what a great job today. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to the whole, ACM team, and to all the manufacturers that participated today. Great day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, next guest at the ACM Trade Show is a veteran of the Made in America podcast, a great representative for manufacturing across the state of Connecticut, and someone I like to call a friend, maybe to his chagrin, Colin Cooper, the state's chief manufacturing officer. Colin, thanks so much for coming on.
Well, good morning, and thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Dude, it's my pleasure. I think we should just start off with a basic conversation. You look like you've been dragged all over town this morning. You've been pretty busy?
Yeah, busy, yeah. The governor was just here. We went through most of the show. We didn't get through all of it. Walking through a function like this with the governor is like going out in public with Mick Jagger. You can't make any progress. So,
yeah, big compliment to the governor. Mick Jagger might be a little disappointed with that, but totally fair. Yeah, I guess it was selfie time with the governor for all the kids.
Absolutely, yeah, and just a lot of energy. I think the governor and David Lehman's here too. For them to see the energy in this room is great. They've both been big supporters of Connecticut manufacturing, and obviously we need talent to feed the manufacturing ecosystem, and events like this really help bring that talent into the workforce.
Give us some perspective. I mean, people who know anything about aerospace manufacturing in Connecticut and the ACM probably connect you with both of those things. I mean, you've been around since the ACM's outset. Maybe kind of help people that are sort of new, to the whole thing, understand what it's been like to get to where we are today and the energy that was here in this room.
The ACM is really is the most successful cluster initiative that was. I think those were started back in the Rowland administration, and there were 6 founding companies that came together, really understood the need for cooperation, collaboration, coordination, and from 6 founding members 22 years ago, we now have I think something north of 110 member companies, primarily Connecticut, but up into Western Massachusetts. Hence the Aerospace Alley moniker is sort of right up the 91 corridor there.
Yeah, we were real excited. We talked to Susan Casa, who represents one of those, I think there's like 3 companies from the Springfield area that are part of the ACM now. She's a 3-year member, just joined the board of directors, so really engaged. She had a lot of really positive things to say about the ACM and her membership and the sharing and all that. She's been great.
Yeah, I think new members are, you get out of it what you put into it. So it's great when you have a new member that sort of jumps in with both feet and really starts getting into the mix of things. But I've found it. The company that I was with, Woodcraft, were members really since the very early days of the ACM, and I found it an invaluable resource. Initially we participated in some of the workforce, progressive sort of manufacturing initiatives. What I found most valuable was the new business development meetings, and consistently there would be 30 to 40 business leaders getting together, sort of sharing best practices, talking about opportunities, which is really, really unique and somewhat sort of counterintuitive because as you know, aerospace is an oligopoly at the top of the food chain. There are only so many customers, and in some respects, we're all selling to those customers, and in some respects, all competing on some level. Mm-hmm. So to get these business leaders together to coordinate and cooperate and share leads and best practices is really, really amazing. So I think the ACM, in terms of a manufacturing group, has really got a lot of best practices and then creates a tremendous amount of value for the member companies.
Yeah, I mean, the companies that have joined the ACM over the time period, the number of companies have grown. What's happened to the companies who've been members? They've grown too?
Yeah, it's been great. Every now and then go back to visit some companies. I remember a couple years ago going back out to Aero Gear, which was one of the founding members, and seeing what Doug Rose and his team have done with that company, the addition that they put on, just a gorgeous facility up there. Alpha Q was, if not one of the original members, one of the early members. Steve Prout's a past president. The governor and I were over at Alpha Q a few months back, seeing the addition that they've put on there, the investments that they've made, millions of dollars of investments in equipment and training and people and the young engineers that Steve's brought in and his team have brought in and trained. It's really great to see these companies grow and mature.
Yeah. No, it definitely is. Talk a little bit about what you saw today for anyone that's going to see the show that wasn't able to attend. I know we've only kind of finished the first half of the day, which is really the job fair portion, but you referenced energy in the room. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it really is great. I mean, my day-to-day existence, I'm not interacting with a lot of, not regularly with high school, middle school age kids. So it's great to, I know you do, you probably get your fill of it, you're having young kids, but my kids are grown and out. And so just, being in an environment with all these middle-aged, high school-age kids is just rejuvenating. But then to see them connect with what's going on here, ask questions. I mean, we were over at the CCAT booth, and they've got some small programmable robotics, and there was a young man there, probably high school age, who'd been there for half an hour on a computer programming one of those robots, just totally oblivious to everything else that was going on around him, just totally enthralled, and just seeing those connections and making the awareness with the kids is this is not a job fair, this is a career fair, so that kids understand the career opportunities that are available in aerospace, in manufacturing, and that's one of the themes that we're trying to get out to folks is, and it's not just the kids, it's the parents, it's the educators, it's the administrators, that manufacturing provides more than good jobs. It provides great career opportunities for our young citizens and our middle-aged and our older citizens. And then also the misconception, I think a lot of people, especially a lot of educators, feel that when a student begins their career in manufacturing, that they're ending their educational career, and nothing could be further from the truth. I think if you talk to of most of the companies here. They get a high potential young employee. They're very incentivized to help that employee continue their education, and most have programs to help them, financial programs to help their young employees do so.
Yeah, no question about it. We actually had the pleasure of having Dr. Karen Wasina-Birch on earlier from the College of Technology. It was great to have her on talking about sort of the stackable credentials that they're working on with the different state community colleges, and how that can be a great opportunity to get somebody into manufacturing. Then you can leverage those stackable credentials. You get one cred, get another one, stack that up to an associate's degree, and if you want to continue on to a bachelor's degree over time, you can sort of build that education. Meanwhile, you don't have to stack up $100,000 in student debt of a 4-year, take a flyer on a 4-year liberal arts education just to figure out what you want to do. You can sort of get the best of both worlds by stepping into it and getting a great career along the way.
Yeah, you bring out a good point, sort of the economic, the return on investment. And I was talking to one of the vocational teachers, one of the technical teachers at one of community college advanced manufacturing centers, and he had a son and a daughter, and his daughter was on a track to go to veterinary school. And the son didn't want to immediately go to, wanted to enter the workforce. And so at 18, he went through a program at one of the advanced manufacturing centers, got trained, got a good job, where he was making very good compensation, full benefits. So he started his career at 18. His daughter was going to go into college, 4 years of college, then 4 years of veterinary school. And he said by the time she gets out, she'll never catch up to him, because now he's 8 years into his career, his compensation is building, and just from an economic standpoint, and then you add in the cost of
she's in a hole. She has to basically buy a house.
Yeah,
just to pay for the education.
Yeah,
that's all. It's all said and done.
Yeah, right. So I think parents are becoming cognizant of that, of sort of the economic benefits of entering your manufacturing career, and then getting your education while you're working.
Yeah, there was a ton. I'm going to ask you this question: when you were back in the ACM in the early days, the 6-company days, did you envision what we're seeing here today? I mean, what do we have? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows full of booths of companies, aerospace manufacturers, jet engines, helicopters, space programs, and just companies all up and down, and 1,000 kids near kind of going up and down, all different ages, right? You mentioned, middle schoolers, we had high schoolers, we even had some, community college and tech school folks here, later in the morning. I mean, did you envision this?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
This was the roadmap. You had this mapped out. You're like, 2021, we're going to be
Let me pull the napkin out here. No. So just to be clear, Whitcraft was not one of the first 6. We were probably one of the 2 or 3 after the first 6.
You were one of the first. So, you were in the top 10.
Yeah. And from the very early days. And really, I joined because it was, our primary facility at that point was out in Eastford, Connecticut. We were way off we were away from the center of gravity, and it was a way to connect with other companies in the state, in the industry. And again, I was looking, closer to home, looking to make those connections, get leads on new business development opportunities, maybe compare notes on progressive manufacturing initiatives and whatnot. But it's a real testament to the members. Al Samuel was the executive director for a good part of that 20 years, and the work he and the team there did on building this event out into what it is today. I mean, it was really it was an evolution, not a revolution, but I don't think any of us expected it to be the magnitude it is today. I mean, it's really quite impressive. When I came in with the governor earlier today, and you come through the doors and you see these companies. I mean, there are over 90 companies here, and they're Connecticut and Western Massachusetts. They're local companies, some of the best in the world at what they do. And then again, you see the companies, the people from the companies here, the ambassadors, and then all the kids interacting. You literally got goosebumps coming in through those doors.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And on just on kind of one more point on that, it's been interesting talking to a lot of the companies here and hearing that not just are we leveraging our aerospace roots in the traditional sense, but how much we're seeing companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin, looking to Connecticut companies to help build the pieces of these next generation rockets that are taking satellites to space, sometimes tourists to space.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing. And I think to your point, it's a testament to how amazing these companies are right here in Connecticut, that when these leaders in space exploration who are global companies headed by very innovative thinkers doing amazing things that could go anywhere to get the pieces they want. And here they come to Connecticut to lean on our manufacturing base to get some of these really, truly revolutionary parts. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. But, because of familiarity, sort of breeds complacency, we forget the innovative companies we have here. I mean, Pratt & Whitney with their geared turbofan, how revolutionary that is, developed here in Connecticut.
Yep.
And a good part of these number of these suppliers sell into that program, support that program,
Absolutely.
make the parts that make those engines, provide the services, and then Sikorsky with their sort of the next generation helicopter.
Have you seen? I don't know if you remember that from the CBIA event, but
yeah.
I mean that next gen rear propulsion helicopter,
dual rotor,
that can goes at twice as fast. Twice as far as the current state-of-the-art helicopter, also made by Sikorsky. Yeah. I mean, you're right. Even the legacy companies here doing some amazing things. With innovation.
I mean, both of those are sort of disruptive technologies. And again, we probably don't recognize, because we're so close to it, how revolutionary those are. So,
very impressive.
So there's a long track record of innovation in this state, both from a product standpoint as well as from a process standpoint.
And we got the supply base to help make it happen. It's a good combination.
Absolutely, yeah.
So speaking of the supply base and all the great manufacturing that's going on in Connecticut, Colin, your tenure as the chief manufacturing officer, I think, is getting longer in the tooth these days.
Yeah, when I came on to work for the state, I talked with David Lehman. I made a 2-year commitment to this position.
Started in October of 19.
19, yeah. So that 2
so
years.
I'm gonna carry the one, do the math. think we passed 2 years last month.
And those were, I like to say, those were dog years because we had the pandemic in the middle of that. So that's worth about 7 years just there. Right. It's been just a fantastic experience. I think collectively we continue to move the needle in the right direction for manufacturing in Connecticut. So I'm sort of actively engaged in a process right now to identify and co-opt my successor into this position. It's a wonderful position. I've met thousands of people in the last 2 years, most of whom seem to email me. So if I'm late on returning an email, I apologize because it's just me. But it's been a great experience. And again, I think there's a tremendous amount of good momentum in the state. I mean, the governor understands the importance manufacturing both to our history and to our future. David Lehman is committed to manufacturing in the state. We've got myself, a lifelong Connecticut resident and manufacturing executive in this position. We now have Christine Fatima as the president and CEO of CBIA, who's got a manufacturing and aerospace background. And we've got Dr. Kelly Valeries as head of the Office of Workforce Strategy. What a unique background she's got. She's run a sheet metal fabrication business and has a PhD in adult education, and she's driving our workforce development initiatives through the state. So we've got a good team of people in a position where they can make a difference. And I would argue there's probably, I can't remember when there have been so many new initiatives that have been developed and are being implemented at the same time. So just a lot of good momentum going on.
There's a lot of really good momentum, and I think it's great that you're, kind of getting out there looking for the successor and going to help kind of transition them in and get them to be successful. Just take an opportunity now to sort of, plug the position. Who knows who's out there listening might be interested. What do you see as someone who might be thinking about, maybe the chief manufacturing officer, something I can do? What are some of the opportunities and the skills that person would need to have and opportunities they could take advantage of?
Well, first and foremost, we want to have somebody who's got familiarity and experience in manufacturing. And you look across the state, there's a tremendous well of knowledge and capability in manufacturing. But I think we also want to get somebody who's not just been focused inward. You know, we want somebody, as we joke, who knows the difference between an end mill and a windmill. But we also prefer to have somebody who's run a business. You know, part of it is manufacturing. Part of it is just understanding the challenges of running and growing a business in Connecticut. So I think it's important for the candidate to have both the internal focus as well as the external focus and interaction. I think so that's sort of first and foremost. I think we'd prefer to have somebody who's been plugged into the Connecticut manufacturing ecosystem.
Knows the players a little bit.
Knows the players, knows the landscape. You know, has shown propensity to engage and try to move things in the right direction. I think that's going to be important. And then there's a lot of intangibles. You know, you need to. Things don't move at the same speed in government that they do in the private sector, and there are a lot more sort of hurdles. And so you've got to be prepared for that and be able to deal with that. I mean, you know, a lot of very good manufacturing people don't have a high degree of patience because as an ops manager, you just need to get stuff done. And so, you know, the ideal ops manager does not have infinite patience, but you do need some modicum of patience in this job. I think some diplomacy. There's a lot of different stakeholders around the Connecticut manufacturing ecosystem, many who may have different opinions on things, and so you know you need to work with people, you know, really try to get people cooperate and coordinate, and so I think there's a certain amount of diplomacy that the ideal candidate would have, and there are other intangibles, but really would like to have somebody who you know inherently knows manufacturing and has had experience running and growing a business in Connecticut. Those are the sort of top priorities.
And what do they get to do? What's the exciting part of the go-get, the impact?
Well, you know, sort of again. I mean, one of the exciting things for me is the access to, you know, David Lehman and the governor, who are, you know, I won't say in charge, but have a significant amount of influence in the policies around the state. You also get a fair amount of interaction with our legislators. We have some really good legislators who get manufacturing and are supportive, and so having that interaction with them to make sure that they're aware of how, you know, sometimes the legislators will pick up some initiatives that are well intended, but they don't really understand the unintended consequences of that. And so just the opportunity to make them aware of the unintended consequences of that and the impact on manufacturing. And I think, you know, in this position, I'm also, as Chief Manufacturing Officer, I'm also the board chair of the Manufacturing Innovation Fund, which is $1 million fund focused on sort of accelerating growth of Connecticut manufacturing companies. So you get to be very involved in the policies that are developed and implemented there that can have a direct impact on manufacturing.
And do you feel like that influence is real? Meaning you talk to people, David, the governor, legislators, that they listen to you and the ideas that you have actually carry weight, and you see your impact being made either in legislation or initiatives that start, or possibly things that change or don't go forward because you educate folks on why the unintended consequences will be too damaging.
Yeah, I mean, there are some times where I have limited influence on some. You know, I've seen some legislation come forward that I think hasn't made sense, and I've sort of articulated that, and it may have moved forward anyway. But certainly, I mean, you look at the MIF, being board chair there. The MIF this year developed 6 new initiatives, and we're in the process of implementing them. That's more new initiatives than we've had there probably in the last 5 years or so. So
we're moving the needle,
moving the needle, and those are initiatives that are developed by manufacturing business executives for manufacturing businesses. So,
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I think it's an exciting opportunity, and certainly happy to help any way we can to help you find a capable successor. You've left behind some big shoes to fill, and we're confident you'll find someone to fill them and keep the Colin Cooper torch moving forward. And on that front, what's next for you after this?
They always say, pursue other opportunities. I don't have anything specific in mind. I'd like to take some time off. When I took this position, my wife and I postponed some traveling that we were going to do, and probably wouldn't have been able to do it anyway. So I think we've got some traveling lined up. I'm on a number of different boards of companies that are really interesting businesses. We continue to stay engaged there, and then I've had some other opportunities sort of come up, but I'm not jumping into anything.
We still going to see you around the ACM trade show?
Oh yeah, I love this. I mean, this is great. I mean, for aerospace geeks, this is Woodstock. You can't get better than this. And before we wrap up, let me thank you in terms of the work that you're doing on outreach for manufacturing in Connecticut. It's just so important. So thank you for what you're doing, and keep doing it.
Yeah, you got it, Colin. Well, listen, I appreciate that. Thank you, and thanks for coming on today. It's been great.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Made in America with Ari Santiago is brought to you by IT Direct, a CompassMSP company.
As always, thank you so much for tuning in and spending some time with me today. My goal is to help build a community where we can learn and grow together. Your input, feedback, and engagement is critical to making that happen. Please do comment, like, and subscribe so more and more people can hear what we're doing and join our community of growth and success. Thanks so much for tuning in. Talk to you again soon.